I walked into the bank that morning just like anyone else, calm, quiet, minding my own business. I wore a simple blouse, jeans and flats. Nothing flashy, nothing loud, just me. A black woman running errands like everyone else. But the moment I stepped through those glass doors, I felt it. The cold stares. The silent judgment. The receptionist glanced up, didn't smile. Her eyes flicked down at my clothes, then back to her screen. I walked to the front desk and said, "Good morning." She didn't answer, just stared and asked, "Can I help you?" I told her I had a question about my business account. She raised an eyebrow. "What business?" I blinked. "That wasn't the question you ask a customer." I repeated myself, calmly, politely, but a man looked like the branch manager came over, arms crossed, already suspicious. "Do you have an appointment?" he snapped. Before I could answer, he looked at the receptionist and nodded. She picked up the phone. Seconds later, a security guard started walking toward me. My heart pounded. I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't done anything wrong. But what they didn't know was, they just messed with the wrong woman. My name is Danielle. People see me now and assume I've always had it easy. A corner office. A firm with my name on the door. Respect. Power. But they don't see the years it took to get here. They don't see the girl who was always told to watch her tone or calm down even when she was just speaking up. The girl who worked twice as hard to be seen as half as capable. I've always been driven. I studied hard, worked even harder, and built a reputation brick by brick. After years in finance, I made a bold move, one most people wouldn't even dream of. I bought out a financial services firm, not inherited, not handed. I earned it. And now I'm the CEO. Lately I've been reviewing our banking partners. We work with dozens of branches, and this one, this little local branch I visited today, was on my list. See, I wasn't just there as a customer, I was there to observe. I wanted to see how they treated regular people, especially people who looked like me. I didn't wear a suit. I didn't bring an assistant. I wanted the truth. The raw, unfiltered experience. And sadly, that's exactly what I got. I stood in line waiting patiently. There were 2 tellers, but neither of them looked at me. One was tapping away at her computer. The other was chatting with a customer. Laughing, even. A few minutes passed. No one acknowledged me. Then a white man walked in. He was behind me. But within seconds one of the tellers perked up and said, "Good morning, sir. I can help you over here." He smiled. She smiled back. Meanwhile, I was still standing there. Invisible. I cleared my throat gently, and took a step forward. The receptionist glanced at me again. Still no smile. I said, "Hi. I just had a quick question about my business account." She didn't answer. Instead, she looked over her shoulder at the branch manager. He was standing near a door, whispering to another employee. He turned, looked me up and down, then leaned in and whispered something else. They both stared. I felt it in my chest, that familiar sinking feeling. But I held my head up and said again, "Excuse me, is there someone available to assist me?" The receptionist finally spoke. "We're busy right now, you'll have to come back later." No apology. No effort. Just dismissal. Before I could say a word, the manager walked over. He didn't greet me. Didn't ask what I needed. He just said, "We can't help walk-ins without an appointment." I blinked. "But I just have a quick." He raised his hand and turned away. Then he nodded at someone behind me. That's when I saw him. A security guard. Heading straight toward me. My stomach dropped. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't caused a scene. I hadn't done anything. The guard didn't say much. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step outside." People turned. They stared. Whispers started. I looked around, heart pounding. Face burning. Every eye was on me. Not as a customer, but as a problem. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I stood tall. I looked the manager in the eye, and calmly said, "You'll regret this." Then I turned and walked out with the guard. Not because I had to, but because I chose to. Because I knew something they didn't. I wasn't just another face in the lobby. I was the one person who could change everything for them. Outside, I stood for a moment on the sidewalk. The sun was bright, but my chest felt heavy. I took a deep breath, then pulled out my phone. No shaking hands, no raised voice, just focus. I dialed. My assistant picked up instantly. "Danielle, everything okay?" I paused, then said, calm and clear, "It's time. Terminate the contract with that branch. Effective immediately." There was a beat of silence on the other end. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." My voice didn't shake. But inside, I felt a sadness I couldn't explain. Not because they were losing our business, but because they chose ignorance over kindness. You see, what they didn't know, what they never bothered to ask, was that my company, my firm, were their biggest corporate client. Our accounts, our services, our monthly activity, keep that branch alive. I've been quietly evaluating every location we work with, visiting in person, watching how they treat people. Not just those in suits. Not just the obvious important ones, but everyone. And this branch? Failed, miserably. They didn't see a businesswoman. They didn't see a client. They didn't even see a human being. They saw a problem. And now, they'll feel the cost of that mistake. I ended the call, slipped my phone into my bag, and walked to my car. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Just tired. Tired of being judged before I speak. Tired of being underestimated. Tired of proving I belong where I already am. As I drove away, I didn't look back. Not once. Because they didn't deserve my anger. They deserved the silence that followed. Later that afternoon, things at the branch took a sharp turn. The usual chatter was gone. Phones rang, but no one answered. Tension hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. Then, just past 3 p.m., the doors opened, and in walked the regional director, unannounced, unsmiling. He asked all staff to step away from their stations and gather in the conference room. No one knew why, but they could feel it. Something was wrong. One by one, names were called. Each employee was asked to collect their things. No warnings, no explanations at first. The branch manager went pale, the receptionist's hands started to shake. Even the security guard looked confused. Finally, the reason was spoken aloud. "Discriminatory and unprofessional behavior," the director said firmly. "It was witnessed and confirmed. Immediate termination is in effect." Murmurs spread like wildfire. No one could believe it. Then came the name. Danielle. Not the woman at the front desk. Not the one in jeans. But Danielle Carter, CEO of the firm that kept their branch afloat. The woman they judged. Ignored. Removed. The manager's mouth opened, but no words came out. He tried. "I didn't know who she was." But the director cut him off. "That's the problem," he said. "You didn't have to know who she was. You just had to treat her like a person." No more was said after that. The meeting was over. The regional director didn't waste any time. Boxes were packed up, files sorted, and badges collected. One by one, the employees were told to leave. And just like that, the branch was empty. The usual hum of the office, the chatter, the footsteps, it all vanished in a matter of hours. What had once been a busy place filled with people, was now just silence and empty desks. That evening, I found myself alone on my balcony, the sky slowly darkening above me. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows, and the cool breeze brushed against my skin. But inside, I wasn't feeling any of the relief I expected. There was no smile on my face. No feeling of victory or justice served. No triumphant dance or celebration. Just silence. I sat there quietly, thinking about what had happened, and what it really meant. Yes, those employees were held accountable for their actions. Yes, the branch had been shut down because of their behavior. But the truth that hit me hardest wasn't about punishment. It was this. How many other people have they treated like that? How many others were looked down on? How many others were made to feel invisible, or less than because of who they are? Those who don't have a fancy title. Those without a powerful voice or resources to fight back. Those who walked into that branch just trying to do their banking, and left feeling small, scared, or ashamed. That's the real pain. Not what they did to me, but what they've likely done to countless others. People who stayed silent because no one was listening. People who had no one to call, no way to stand up for themselves. And that silence, that invisibility, that's what breaks my heart the most. I never wanted power to punish anyone. That was never my goal. All I ever wanted was to create change. Real lasting change. Change that would open doors, break down walls, and lift others up instead of tearing them down. As I sat there that night, alone with my thoughts, I couldn't help but remember the little girl I used to be. The girl my mother raised with gentle hands and firm words. She used to tell me over and over again, smile more, speak softly, be careful, people already think you're a threat. I understood why she said those things. Because in this world, too many people see color before they see a person. Too many judge before they listen. That little girl grew up learning to tiptoe around the world, to shrink herself so she wouldn't take up too much space, so she wouldn't scare anyone. She learned that sometimes, her presence alone was enough to make others uncomfortable. And now, years later, here I was, an executive, a decision maker. Someone who had climbed the ladder, fought the fights, and earned a seat at the table. But even now, in all my power and success, I was still judged by my skin before my words. Still measured by outdated and unfair standards. Still carrying the weight of others' assumptions like a heavy coat I couldn't shed. It was exhausting. It wore on my spirit. Some days it made me question if all the battles were worth it. But I wasn't broken. I wasn't defeated. I wasn't done fighting. That night, as I stared out the window, I made a choice. I wasn't going to let this be just another ugly story, one of pain and injustice left to fade into silence. No, this was going to be the beginning of something new. I picked up my phone and called my team. We're starting a foundation, I said. A foundation that offers anti-bias training to companies. Workshops that didn't just tick boxes. Resources that didn't gather dust on shelves. Real conversations that forced people to listen, to reflect, and to change. Not just policies written in fine print, actual learning, actual transformation. Because if I have a seat at the table, I will use it to make room for others. For the women who get followed around stores, their hearts racing with fear. For the men who get pulled over for no reason, their hands trembling with frustration and dread. For every child who looks in the mirror and wonders if they're not enough because of how they look, or where they come from. This world might not change overnight. The road ahead will be long and difficult. But I will not stop pushing. Not now, not ever. I've learned something important on this journey. Titles don't make you better. Suits don't make you better. Power doesn't make you better. What truly matters is character. It's how you treat people when no one's watching. How you show kindness when you don't have to. How you stand up for others when it's easier to look away. You never know who someone really is beneath the surface. That janitor cleaning the floors might be someone who built a company from nothing. The cashier ringing up your groceries could be a future leader. The stranger standing quietly in line might be carrying dreams and hopes just like you. But the most important truth of all is this. You should never have to know someone's status to treat them with dignity. Everyone deserves kindness. Everyone deserves respect. No matter where they come from. No matter what they look like. Danielle's story is a reminder, a call to action, for businesses, for communities, and for each of us as individuals. We all have the power to do better, to listen more deeply, to judge less quickly, to build spaces where everyone feels welcome, seen and valued. And to those who have ever felt invisible, dismissed or unworthy, I see you. You are not alone. You are enough. Because your worth is never defined by others' opinions. It's defined by your courage to keep going. Your strength to be yourself. Your right to be treated with dignity and love. So today, I ask you to carry this message with you. Speak up when you see injustice. Lift others up when they're down. And remember, real change starts with each of us. One act of kindness, one moment of understanding at a time. Together, we can build a world where no one's dignity is ever questioned, where respect isn't earned by title, but given as a human right. And that to me is the kind of power worth having. Thank you for listening. If Danielle's story moved you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Together we can help change the way the world treats each other. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful true life stories just like this. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. Thank you so much for watching.